First of all, it's great to be here. Hello, I have been to Tonga, I think 4 times. The last time I came, I tried to catch some big fish in Northern Ireland, and I was the only one who failed. I had a blue marlin from here to the office away, and it got off. So I'll come back to see what the blue marlins for you. But seriously, we've come back because Angaófa Timber is our company, and we have started that company because we thought we could support the Tongan people with lower prices. We also came back because we're very grateful to many Tongan rugby players who've been in Smithy and my teams over a long period of time, and who have supported us and helped make those teams successful. And so we're very grateful for that. So 2 major reasons. But it's good to be here.
Same as Graham. I first came here actually with Siliva before we started Angaófa Timber. We went swimming with whales off the and we had a boat full of American tourists, and it was their dream of their lifetime to get eye to eye with a humpback whale like they just set their whole life aside to come and do that one thing. So we found these 2 whales and we slipped into the water, and then all of a sudden there's a huge splash and Siliva's honey-potted into the water and frightened off the whales. So the Americans weren't very happy. So he got banned, once we found the next whales, he got banned from swimming. But yeah, so Graham and I, we discussed joining Siliva here simply through gratitude. We were having a red wine one day and we were talking about our careers as coaches, and we came to the conclusion that we probably owed Tonga something because there's so many good Tongan players. You know, for me it was starting with, and to starting with Jonah, Pino Tumi, guys like that. I mean, through to the present day, off at Varsity, off at Nani no Mapi in Japan, where I help out. I've got Atata Mokiola in Japan, the City Nakajumas there. So it's a gratitude thing to simply do something really good for the people. We've had great support in New Zealand to do that. We've had great support from rugby entities, so the Chiefs have given us a lot of rugby gear to take around the schools. Auckland Rugby have given us rugby balls to hand out. Paladin Apparel have given us boxes of stuff, and it's just great to be able to maybe raise morale a little bit, you know, after tsunami, to go around and meet these people and try and give them some messages at the same time.
Alright, jadi kembali lagi jadi Pak itu Al Siliva Payn, saya Ron Henry, Wayne Smith, kalau kita ya Angaófa Angaófa Timber. Không mà có là một họ còn về hạt tin bị về ako tawag super lo operate mo pula ma ola de ba ba fambe ho ko mo mai phong ga mo ya ki mo ka ha ki ola de pa de to on di ayo wai amana ko tui ma lo de ma la ba to ni tu ma fa pa na ko fun wa aki de o ma ha nau lang lelei mo mama kalau bang ini gue tahu ke gue ya apa dulu gue au lah kau de fazer bisnis itu sih lah kalau bawa holding the photo business. I think we will have a growing more way. I mean, for my really my phone one, we will take it by doing a balloon by in the fire to use that and the final right on the thing at the big top. They are like it's a lot. I think they
I have a question. I understand that you guys are here at this of a timber construction company, but based on your experience and skills and background in rugby, is there any specific certain plan that you guys will help in to empower sports in Timor, especially rugby?
Question.
I don't know the full program, but we are visiting, I think, 3 schools. We've just been to Tonga College. I'm very impressed with the young men at that school and their reception. And we were there for 1 hour. It's a long time. I'm an ex-school principal, Charleston Boys High School in Auckland, so I understand time is important for schools, and it was particularly good to be able to talk to the boys about not only rugby but success in life, having the right balance, and just talking like things like having strong friends who support each other, working hard at school because that lifts your self-esteem and you feel good about that, getting involved in extracurricular activities, and rugby is one of those. You know, they had the band there, the school band, and they were very impressive. So they do a lot of things outside the classroom, and I think that helps achievement inside the classroom. We are going to have a rugby session with coaches and players, but mainly we want to pass on our knowledge to the coaches, because that'll be the way it could be passed on to the boys in a larger group. The game never changes. The game itself doesn't change, but coaching needs to change, and people need to have original ideas. And what we're trying to do is trying to foster people's imagination in the game and get them passionate about it and coaching well, and not coaching like everybody else does, if that makes sense. So we're looking forward to that part, and that's part of the gratitude of all those wonderful common players we've played in our teams over the years. So we're looking forward to that session with the coaches.
Talking about coaching, I understand that you're known as Tech after taking New Zealand to the World Cup in 2011. What is something, a hidden skill and treasure that you want to pass on to the coaches in Tonga?
I think probably spending a lot of time making sure you got the right. And I was fortunate, Smithy was one of those people, and selecting the right team. I think Tonga has got a huge number of rugby players all around the world, as you know, in France and the British Isles, in the States, and even Canada and Japan, and New Zealand, and Australia, go on and on. So there's hundreds, probably 300 players, Smithy was saying this morning to the boys at Tonga College, playing in Japan. Just making sure you've got the best people representing Tonga. And that's a major job. And if you can put the best Tongan players together with the right coaches and management, that'll be a real force, I'm sure. And I think they're going to be very strong at this next World Cup. The challenge is they've got a very strong pool. But how do you get the best Tongan players? That is, I'm sure that's going through the heads of the Tongan selectors and coaches, how they do that.
Yeah, just on the same note, firstly, Angaófa Timber, I'm basically a silent partner. I let Siliva do all the work. I was giving the money and he doesn't work. Yeah, the messages for me, so as Graham said, we've got some sessions with coaches. So all the coaches from the hubs, the schools, from the schools are coming to a coaching course that we're running, and they're bringing 4 of their players, each of them, so there'll be 36 players will be there, and we'll take them through some sessions. For me, the keys initially for me is going to be the safest way to play is the most effective, and so making sure there's good technique for here and the tackle and the collisions. You know, I've got a lot of Tongan boys in Japan, they're playing professional rugby, it's tough, a lot of head collisions that can be avoided, so I'd like to really push that. The safest way is the most effective way to play the game. Also, I love attack, I love all-out attack, so it'd be really good for Graham and I to talk to them about our most recent campaign, which was with New Zealand women, Black Ferns at the World Cup, and how we created an attacking attitude for them, so that they, to the extent that it nearly cost us the World Cup because they couldn't see any other way. At the end of the game when they needed to probably kick the ball out, they still saw the attacking opportunity, but how good's that? You know, to me, probably the one people in the world who could be a great attacking team would be the Tongans, so, you know. I'm also, I've mentioned to Siliva that probably one session with the coaches isn't enough, and it'd be good to come back and do another one, but maybe we could organise something on Zoom where we meet the same people over the computer, maybe show some clips, answering questions that they've got once they go back to coaching. I think it would be a good way for us to help them. And then if you do that at the grassroots, you know, it's going to come up through the top hopefully. Now, a lot of these kids are going to leave, aren't they, and go overseas to study and train and play. But that's good because that gives them a potential future. The only thing for me around all that is in New Zealand, of all the kids playing rugby in the schools, only 3% make professional ranks, and that average 3 years total of professional rugby. So that's not a career, you know. And I think there's a big dose reality there as well that you've got to study, you've got to get back up, you've got to be able to work, and then the rugby hopefully comes off. If it doesn't, we're going to do something else. And there's plenty of good jobs all around Southern Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere for these guys to do. We've got to emphasise study, good values, good people, things that the best in the world do that don't take a lot of talent. Anyone can do, anyone can follow those behaviours. So that's what we're pushing for.
Thank you for your introduction, and it's warming to hear of the impact that Tongan players have made in your lives. Rugby has been in Tonga for a century now, and yet we are still shipping out our players, our good players, out to Japan, New Zealand, even Australia. Do you have any plans, or do you see in the near future that we could be able to develop something where we can keep our players here in Tonga, and what would that key element be?
Oh, thank you, Ted. Yeah, there's always a challenge here in Tonga because rugby is all about money, professionals. Back in Tonga, they, like, for example, Smithy and playing those places pretty much amateur. It's very tough to look after the family. So along this time, wherever the money is, all these boys from Tonga will move. The only thing I can think of, maybe we can develop the national team and pick local players, and they have something to aim for. And when they play for the national team, they can get contracts in England, Japan, and Tonga. So they can't expose you, they can't pick local players. But if we can develop a good program here,
it's going to help a lot how to motivate them to play.
There's a Pacifica team in the super competition in New Zealand made up of Samoan and Tongan players in the main. I think it's 80% have to be available to play for either Samoa or Tonga. And I think that's the start. But what I was saying before about having a database of all the Tongan players around the world and keeping tabs on those players and getting them back to play for Tonga and international rugby, I think is massively important because it's a huge number of them. And the higher the profile of Tongan rugby, the more support they're going to get. Higher the profile meaning being successful. And they've just had a tour of the Northern Hemisphere recently and were very successful, correct? And the Sevens team, I think, achieved beyond expectation in the 2 Sevens tournaments in Australia and New Zealand recently. So there's a lot of good things happening. The lack of financial support for professional rugby at home is a real challenge, and probably a challenge that's going to be very difficult to overcome. So making the best of what there is there now is, I think, very important. And there's marvellous opportunity for young Tongan men to handle it now, to do those things, as long as they can keep connecting with those players all around the world. So they don't leave their heritage, their Tongan heritage.
Yeah, I think that last point's really important about the Tongan heritage. I'm hoping that with Augustine Pulu, Charles Pietau, George Moala, Malakai Whekatoa, Nani Lamapu, who else is there? Israel Folau, all those guys who are now available for Tonga by Fafita and his brother, Ben Tamafuna. Surely people follow them. They've got a responsibility, I think, as Tongans to give out positive vibes to the other Tongan players about home for the country. As I said, there were probably 300 Tongan players in Japan, and the quality is really high. So a lot of your kids are going to the last year of secondary school in Japan, and then they go to university, at Tikio or Tenri or Tokai University or Waseda or wherever, and they come out with a degree. And after 5 years, I play as a pass-permitted player in club rugby, which doubles the value. So they're earning big money, these kids, when they go into a Japanese club. They don't need the money from me, they don't need the money from the national union. They need to commit to come and play. That's what I feel about it. If I was Colin and I was earning big money over there, yes, I'd be shooting it for my family, not going to do, I'd be coming back to play.
Just following up on that question, I would, it says you've been to Tonga College and you've been to Fo'o and Paul College, maybe to it. Is it possible that you guys would be thinking of recruiting any young players, Italian players anytime soon, or working together with coaches?
Not for me.
Yeah, I think the hardest part is the timing. Maybe we look at the next trip coming back. We just focus in the schools. Education is still the important part of Tonga. And go together with our company. We want to help schools and hopefully parents can see that. They do a lot of us, they'll come buy the building materials. So we'll focus on the education this time, but maybe next time we'll look at the clubs.
Yeah, I think the key thing there is if you can make your life better, like coming to New Zealand or Australia to play club rugby and get a job, get a work visa, get a contract, and still play some rugby, I'd do, if there's people who want to do that, I'd be in favour of that. But I'm not about recruiting talent from here. But no, Clubs are always asking us, you know, can you get a couple of players to come over? We've got a job for them and accommodation for them. That's a different matter. You know, you give them a contract, a work contract, and you put them on accommodation and they play for your local club. I think that's great. You can help the families back here.
In regards to your business and your vision to provide lower prices for Tonga, how is that working for you and your competition?
We are very fortunate. We came in the right time, just before the tsunami hit. I remember that morning after the tsunami, Ted Smithy called me, asking me, what can we do? We really want to do something to help Tonga. And I said to them, I think there's going to be something coming up soon. So. And then we had a request from the Queen's niece, because this island, Mango, is completely wiped out, and they're looking for food. So Smithy, Ted, and I contact this big food processing in New Zealand called Waters, and they send us a truck full of food and we send it here. But after that, we still want to do more for the people of Tonga, and we are very lucky that we won the contract to supply the teams. So we are looking forward to complete that, fulfill that contract with the government. So we've done the first stage, almost 80 houses now. So we're looking for another 200 houses. So it's very good, because we prove that we are the best price and also the best quality. So we are very fortunate that people back in New Zealand, they are all keen rugby All Blacks fans, and they own all these businesses. So they seeing us, when they help us, they help Tonga. But we are here in for the right reason. So we always try to give the best price.
Just a follow up on that. Why Tonga? I mean, other than you, Siliva, I believe you're Tongan. You also had Samoan players, Fijian players, but you chose Tonga to give back with gratitude. Okay, Siliva, it's you.
Yeah. We've been known since 2001. We came along a long time. Smithy was with Northampton, and I had a call from his rugby director, John Steele, that Smithy did something, so they flew me there. And when first time I met Smithy, I was so nervous. Smithy is really up there. And when I went in the room, Smithy said to me, I've heard a lot of you. So, and after that, we built a close relationship with rugby and also the family. Smithy's family is just like my family. And then Ted became the All Blacks coach. So he persuaded Smithy to come from Northampton. And it was very fortunate that with the Tonga influence in our relationship. And after the tough Bledisloe Cup series 2005, when the All Blacks won, we jumped in the plane and me and Smithy swam with the whales. While the boss was waiting in Wellington, we nearly missed the flight. But that's how we blew it up. Tonga is always great people, and we love to help Samoa and Fiji. So we still looking. This is like the first one.
Just a follow-up question on that topic. Is it possible that you guys will, maybe in time, near future, also, would expand your business into other regions?
We were talking with for our new venture, and we got a very good chance that we're going to help, because we think that Tonga is being hammered by diabetes and cancer. We probably will do something to help them, but we want to, it's not only Tonga but other islands.
Yeah, it's all news to me.
That's Tonga for you.
I'm doing it for those reasons that I said before. I visited here. I'm grateful for what the people have done for us. And there was a need. There was a greater need here for aid for Chica Timber. We've got great support in New Zealand to help us, including Michael Jones, who's a Samoan, but he allows us to get cheaper transport and that sort of stuff. So, yeah. Now for me, I'm retired. I'm just I'm happy to stick with the
You're
one.
just here for the whales.
Yeah. I'm happy to stick with the one country. I don't want to expand.
Yeah, I think we're all trying to do our bit, aren't we? Look, I've got one foot in the grave, you know, and this is a good interest and a good way to pay back. Like I live on Waiheke Island. I don't know whether you know where Waiheke Island is. It's a little island off Auckland. Little, well, it's quite, 10,000 people live there permanently. I'm on an old men's walking group. So we're supporting things around the world that need support. And this is another thing to be able to help with. And it's of great interest. And I went to school this morning. I used to be a headmaster. I went to Tonga College. I was very impressed with the standard of the young man sitting there. Very disciplined, great band, great singing, very focused, and it's just good to be able to go back to those situations. It's just a pleasure to be involved.
I've got one little story that probably started off my interest, I suppose, in helping Tonga, other than the rugby. It's rugby related, but when we were in Whanau, there was a young guy working for the bank over there who was halfback for the Tongan under-20 team. And we contacted him and I said, I'll give you a training session. So yes, we jacked up a time for a training session, got on her, and it turned up and there was no rugby ball. So we got hold of Siliva's mate over there, who was in customs. Well, surely he'd have a rugby ball. No, we couldn't find a rugby ball on the island. So the kid went and got a coconut. So he was passing the coconut to me. Cutting you know how that sharp on the end? It's cutting all the bone with the head. That's how we did our session. And I thought, we need to do something there. Now we've got 80 rugby balls from Auckland Rugby. Maybe we can get a couple of them.
As you were saying, other than rugby, education is also important. And that's important for us Tongans because that is our plan A, B, C. But there are boys and girls who have the talent and have a passion for rugby. What would be your advice to parents that are holding their children back from pursuing their talent, but at the same time balancing academics?
Yeah, I think you just mentioned the right word, balance. You know, I think parents should surely see that children with talent have a future. If they've got a future in the game, they're going to be able to help the household, the family, economically in the future. That's going to be a big thing. But as I said before, you can't make like all the time guys I've coached have been really diligent. So haven't just been like a start. They've been diligent in what they do. They've got a growth mindset. German Molly had a growth mindset, try all sorts of things, win all sorts of places. Fantastic. You know, and often from the past year, I remember the first time I coached him, the All Blacks, we sat down for a meeting about how we planned this week for the game. And I had a little booklet that I'd made him just a paper, you know, and a sort of a schedule on it that he could fill in and develop his game each week, so he played one on a Saturday. And a week later he came back on his iPad and he bought a software package and he made up his own template and he was doing it electronically. He was smart, and I don't think you could be a top class rugby player without being smart, without being diligent, without being a good person. You've got to have the ability to study because you've got to study the moves, you've got to understand the game, you've got to be able to read the game, all sorts of things. So two things are related.
Yeah, I agree with Offa. He's made a career in rugby, but he's grown as a person, much wider horizons. And I think talking to parents, parents give the kids, it's not just the rugby, it's the growth of the whole person, that growth mindset. And they get opportunities to do other things, opportunities to further their education, opportunities outside of rugby. It's going to be said, there's only 3% of the professional players who are going to go on to the internationals. Was that the stat? I got that stat right? That'll do. So there's no guarantee. So you need to make sure you've got the foundations right to do other things. And by having a professional rugby come back, there's greater opportunities to do that. The best All Black rugby players during my time were the boys who had other things going on in their lives. Like Richie McCaw, who you've probably heard of, a very bright boy who did other things. He had a pilot's license, a helicopter pilot's license. He was doing a degree. Conrad Smith, a lawyer. The best All Blacks were the boys who had other things going on in their lives. Dougie Hallett. Dougie Hallett was the marketing manager for Munster in Ireland after he finished playing rugby. Now he's got his own business. So there's great opportunity through the game of rugby to grow as a person.
Maybe one last question from me. Besides sports and the team, just by sitting here, the name of your company, Angaófa, and also the logo of your company, I'm sure there's maybe Siliva could help us about.
Yeah, you can difference.
Love for rugby.
Love for rugby?
Maybe
That sounds good.
you can just give a little. I'm sure it has its own story besides what you guys have been doing.
I came up with the name thinking 1777 when James Cook explored down and he fell in love with the beagle because they're very friendly and very. And James Cook named Tonga, the friendly islands of the Pacific. So we wrote this question in our assembly with published. And one kid answered after a few kids tried. And we think Angaófa stands for generosity. And we all come here for the right reason. We still want the business to make money, but we want to give their own people. And by having the rugby post and the coconuts, that's the what you call it's like where the Tongan main export in the past they live in Tonga. We think it's between rugby and our traditional way and our names. We'd like to think that generosity is our aim.
Just listening to what you have explained, I think there's a there's a kind of a different spirit. We can feel the warmth of your goals and what you're going for from the company. As a mother of one son, I'm worried he will follow suit. My brother is also rugby playing in Japan, but my concern is the injuries that they have during playing rugby and stuff. That's just it. Like, if he has the talent for it, I'm okay. But what would be a comforting advice if he ever does choose to go rugby, that I wouldn't be worried about his ribs or any injuries?
Yeah, when I was a young rugby player down in Canterbury, I made friends with a coach called Laurie O'Reilly. And for some reason, he took me under his wing. I was a player, but he was teaching me coaching. And his mantra was always, the safest way is the most effective way. So always teach safe technique because it allows you to play the game at a better level. So things like keeping your chin off your chest. You see a lot of players today going into contact with their head down and smashing into contact. Now, A, that's dangerous. It's probably going to be out there. But B, it doesn't allow you to do anything else. It doesn't allow you to see an attacking player and do an offload. It doesn't allow you to pop the ball off the ground because you can't see anything. So it's safer with your chin up and your eyes open. That's also better for the game. It allows you to attack. Same if you're jacking over the ball, and that creates a lot of injuries. People come in and smash it. But if you do it with your chin up and you see it coming, you know, you can move out of the way. I've moved out of the way. Honestly, you don't want to get in there when guys are coming in, and it's fundamental. But coaches seem to be coaching aggression and bravery at the cost of becoming a really attacking safe game. That's my feeling. So that's what I'm going to be working on. That's going to be my part.
That was
I'm really
comforting.
looking for coaches.
I think that's it. Thank you for answering okay, on behalf of us India, we thank you for the time that you have given us, because I'm sure this will help us to relay the messages that you have given us to our audience, especially those who are interested in sports, but also for those who are interested in buildings, doing construction soon, or especially when you say that you have the best price and the best quality, and also I think this is the first time for me to know that you guys are the ones supplying the timbers for the constructions of the recovery of the Angaófa and Payn. We thank you for your time and we wish you well during your visit to Ghana, and hopefully you will continue on. When you visit us again, we will have another press conference.
Well, this has been a pleasure.
Yes.
We used to, in New Zealand, we used to journalists coming in and going at what do you like, what do you like.
You're surprised that we are calm.
This has been intelligent and appreciate you coming along.
Thank you.
Thank you. What's your